Hello and welcome back to Embodied Astrology. This is a weekly series where I share practical teachings and intuitive messages about this week's astrology and teach you how you can work with this energy to embody your authentic self and live your best life. When I was feeling into the astrology of this week, it was interesting because I was definitely getting the vibe and energy of direction, clarity, creativity, inspiration. And it feels like an energy of kind of a push-pull of sitting back and being reflective and really listening for messages, trying to be very perceptive. And then when you get those messages, to really act on them. It feels like this energy of creativity, initiation, direction feels almost like a blink and you'll miss it type of thing. So the messages around the astrology for this week are really focused on how do we get quiet and listen for these messages, and then once we get the messages or the insight or the inspiration, what exactly do we do with it? We're starting to transition between seasons, and you will start to feel it as some of the inner faster moving planets such as Mercury and soon to be Venus are moving out of Aquarius and into Pisces. So we've been talking all about Aquarius for the last few weeks. It's very much about collective, community, future forward thinking, how we are moving forward as a society. And it's an air sign, so it's very intellectual, very social, very communicative. We're moving into a different energy of Pisces, which is still very collective, and it's all about how we are connected and how you're just one little speck in the universe, but it's coming from a water sign place. So it's all about feeling into the emotion, intuition, being very perceptive, being creative, and also more of this energy of like allowing and receiving, because water is a feminine element. So there is this vibe shift that you're going to start to feel as we move into Pisces season, and some of these inner planets are starting to move into Pisces. That is more about how do we soften and how do we receive the messages or the clarity or the direction that we seek. So one definite practice for you this week is to try to find that quiet time to reflect and really thinking about the places in your life where you can do that, whether it is a very intentional meditation moment, a journaling moment, even like walking around outside or driving in your car, you get these random inspirations. Just finding and recalling those places in your life where you can receive those messages and making sure that you're creating the time and the space to be in those places so that you are going to be ready to receive any sort of downloads, insights, inspirations that are coming for you this week. This is a week where we are supposed to be listening for important messages. A key piece of astrology that's happening around this is Mercury is going to be conjunct the North Node, and this is all happening in the sign of Pisces, which again is a water sign. It's very intuitive, very emotional, very perceptive. And the North Node is a point that we look to in astrology that symbolizes destiny and our life's purpose. And so Mercury, being the translator that's crossing over the North Node, is picking up these messages about your purpose, about your next steps. I highly recommend checking out what part of your chart contains Pisces. This is determined by your rising sign. If you don't know where this is in your chart, but you do know your rising sign, go ahead and comment below, and I will be sure to tell you what part of your life these messages are going to be coming through, or what they're going to be about, or how they're going to give you more direction in that particular part of your life. An important reminder that the astrology of this week is trying to teach us is that there will be some sort of burst of creativity or direction or inspiration, but how do we act on that without burning out? Saturn, which is the planet of structure and systems and boundaries and commitment, is moving into the sign of Aries. Aries is a fire sign that's all about initiation, bold, dynamic, courageous action, like move fast, break things type of energy. So if you think about Saturn, which is a planet that is very deliberate and intentional and structured and systematic, in this sign of Aries, which is kind of like, oh, act first, think later. And it's this dichotomy of acting from a place of inspiration, but also having the plan in place or the structures and systems and foresight to really pace yourself in pursuit of whatever it is that you are working on. So my practice for you this week is twofold and a little bit contradictory. The first is to, again, find those quiet places in your life where you can reflect and receive important information, because that's definitely a theme of the week. And once we gain that insight, how do we take action on it right away? How can we make sure that we are putting the trains on the tracks and starting to move towards something before that inspiration kind of fizzles away or we forget the idea or whatever it may be? When I prepare for these videos, I'm doing all sorts of things. I am, of course, looking at the technical astrology. I am sitting in meditation and receiving downloads intuitively about what the astrology means for all of you listeners out there. And I'm also doing a little divination. I pull a card asking about what is the energy of the astrology of this particular week and what does my audience need to know about it. And I pulled this firefly card, which was interesting. The description is inspired and fantastic, yet fleeting. And so I think that's a perfect way to summarize this week. It is, how do we receive insight, create the space to do that? Once we do it, how do we take action? But then how do we also sustain that action over a long period of time so that we don't burn out? It is very much a week where we're being pulled in many different energetic directions between all the Aquarius energy that we're still in, which is very collective focus, innovative, disruptive, into the Pisces energy that we're feeling, which is very perceptive, about receiving, about creating, and then also moving into this Aries energy. How do we take aligned action and courageous action and trailblazing action, but do it in a way that feels sustainable? That's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you find this helpful. Whatever sort of inspiration and creative insights that you get this week, please go ahead and share in the comments below. I would love to hear how this lands for you. Hopefully it is helpful and inspiring, and I can't wait to hear all the ways in which you take action on these creative ideas this week. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I post new videos every single Monday, and I can't wait to see you next week. It's a big one. Okay, it's gonna be a big one next week, so can't wait to talk about it. All right, bye.